On that note, please silence your devices. Thank you. It is 9 a.m. Welcome to the May 16th, 2018 City Council meeting. Let the record reflect that all city council members and officials are present. Please stand firstly for an invocation, then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, we ask thy continued help and understanding in our council's decisions made today. Grant us, Lord, not to be anxious about earthly things, but to love things heavenly, and even now, while we are placed among things that seem to be passing away, to hold fast to those that shall endure. We ask that you give us the wisdom to make the right and proper decisions and continue to hold us in the palm of your hands. Amen. Which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
We have several special proclamations this morning, the first of which is Emancipation Day, which Councilmember Prafke will present.
It is my honor. Proclamation, City of Punta Gorda, Florida. Whereas the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network was organized in 2001 to serve as an informal and technical assistance resource to a growing interest in preserving Florida's African American history and culture. Whereas Ms. Altamise Barnes, Executive Director of the John Gilmore Riley Center Museum, is the founder and president of the network. And whereas President Barack Obama appointed Ms. Barnes to the Board of Directors of the Institute of Museum and Library Services in 2012, and she was a recipient of the Evelyn Fortune Bartlett Trust for Historic Preservation Award in 2016. And whereas the Blanchard House Museum of African American History and Culture of Charlotte County is a charter member of the network. And whereas the Blanchard House Museum annually commemorates the order read by General McCook of the Union Army of the United States, freeing all enslaved people in Florida on May 20th, 1865, as Emancipation Day. And whereas the City of Punta Gorda welcomes the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network and commends and congratulates Ms. Barnes on her achievements and contributions for the preservation of African American history and culture. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, does hereby celebrate May 19th, 2018 as Emancipation Day. Passed and duly adopted in regular session on this 16th day of May, 2018, City of Punta Gorda, Florida, signed Rachel Kiesling, Mayor. And accepting is Ms. Altamise Barnes. You're quite welcome. If you'd like to say a few words for us, please.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be in Punta Gorda again, and it is definitely an honor to be here on such a special occasion. We do have a bus and some others coming. They will get here in time for the commemoration on the 19th, coming in from Central Florida, and I'm sure they will find this area as exciting and interesting as I have. We only arrived last night, but I plan to do a complete tour of the city, and it's beautiful what we've seen so far. And thank you for all that you do for the network and specifically for the Blanchard House Museum, Dr. Beretta and group. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have March for Peace, Justice, and Community Unity Day, which I will present. Proclamation, City of Punta Gorda, Florida. Whereas Punta Gorda is ranked one of the safest cities in Florida, and whereas in 1963, Charlotte High School was voluntarily and peacefully integrated, the first in Florida to do so, and this was done before the passage of the Civil Rights Act and without any court order. And whereas disturbing events have troubled many parts of our country in recent months, but not in Punta Gorda, where citizens, officials, organizations, and police have voluntarily come together to strengthen lines of communication and cooperation. And whereas a symbolic People's March will be held at 8 a.m. on Saturday, May 19, 2018, to further the cause of peace, justice, and community unity, and to celebrate Punta Gorda's distinctive role in building peaceful progress for all. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida does hereby proclaim May 19, 2018 as March for Peace, Justice, and Community Unity Day, and encourages citizens to participate in the march as well as the festivities to be held at the Cooper Street Recreation Center immediately thereafter. Passed and duly adopted in regular session the 16th day of May, 2018, City of Punta Gorda, Florida, Rachel Kiesling, Mayor, attested by Karen Smith, City Clerk, and today Kara Williams and group will come accept the proclamation and talk about their event on Saturday. Thank you. Say a few words for us.
Thank you so much, City Council, for this recognition. We do look forward to walking again this year. The task force hopes that you are all able to join us. We will begin Saturday morning. If you would like to attend, you can meet us at New Operation Cooper Street, where we will be busing people to the old courthouse and then walking in return, and we will have an event at New Operation Cooper Street just thereafter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the 13th Army Band of the Florida National Guard Day, which Vice Mayor Wine will present.
Thank you. It's my honor. Proclamation, City of Punta Gorda, Florida. Whereas organized and federally recognized February 25th, 1930 in the Florida National Guard 265th Coastal Artillery at Miami. It was redesignated in 1963 as the 13th Army Band, United States of America of the Florida National Guard, with the entire state of Florida as its area of operation. And whereas these musical ambassadors of the Florida National Guard perform at the Goodwill Ball in downtown Miami and the gubernatorial inaugurations every 4 years in Tallahassee and every type of event in between. And whereas the 13th Army Band has over the years been called up to serve in multiple disaster recovery efforts, including those most recently Hurricane Irma, the global war on terror, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and the cultural exchanges abroad. And whereas the 13th Army Band of the Florida National Guard is performing in the concert at Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center at 7:00 p.m. on Friday, May 25th, 2018. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida does hereby proclaim May 25th, 2018 as the 13th Army Band of the Florida National Guard Day, and urges all citizens to attend a performance by this outstanding organization. Passed and duly adopted in regular session the 16th day of May, 2018. Signed Rachel Kiesling, Mayor, and accepting will be Frank Mazer.
Well, I'd like to thank the City Council for this proclamation. These proclamations mean a lot to these bands. The Military Officers Organization, as well as the Event Center, are co-host to these concerts. And they're free to the public, and there are several tickets available. They're free. Just go to the Event Center and ask for the number that you want. And I encourage you also to bring children, bring kids, because this is an inspiration to them to listen to these bands. They're just really phenomenal what they've accomplished and how they present themselves. We are planning on another concert this year. We're bringing in the Navy Band, November 11th. I think we have that firmed up, and I'm not sure the exact location where it's going to be, but we'll certainly get that word out. And if anyone has any connections with the Air Force, we'd love to get the Air Force Band here, because that's the only band we haven't had here. And we're trying to work through our congressional delegation to see whether we can get them here. But the bands love coming here, they love the area, and they really appreciate these proclamations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Safe Boating Week, which Councilmember Matthews will present.
Yes, thank you. It's my honor to present this proclamation for the City of Punta Gorda, Florida.
Whereas boating is a popular recreational activity for nearly 90 million Americans, and whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners and the United States Power Squadrons encourage everyone to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly, and whereas through basic boating safety procedures, including carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets and staying sober can help ensure boaters stay safe throughout the season. And whereas the vast majority of boating accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors, and whereas on average 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents, 80% of which are fatalities caused by drowning, and whereas most of those boaters who lost their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn a life jacket. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, does hereby proclaim the week of May 19 to 25, 2018 as National Safe Boating Week and urges those who boat to wear a life jacket and practice safe boating habits at all times. Passed and duly adopted in regular session this 16th day of May 2018, City of Punta Gorda, Florida, Rachel Kiesling, Mayor. And accepting will be Commander Sandra Darna and Flotilla 98 Commander Michael Griffith. I think they're both.
I'll just say, keep a couple brief comments. Thank you, City Council, for recognizing this. We're an education boating safety group, and we take it very seriously. We are participating on Saturday with a full range of activities at the event center and also at the Punta Gorda Boating Club. So if you're available, we have our booth, which would be educational. We have a Ready, Set, Wear, which is our life jacket campaign. We also have, a boating seminar to help people with boats for the canals and things to secure them for hurricanes. And also, did I say Ready, Set, Wear? Okay, thank you. Lots of things going on. Oh, and at the Punta Gorda Boat Club, sorry, we do have live demonstrations of flares. So if you've never seen a flare and you want to see how that looks in the daytime, feel free to stop by. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have a presentation, Downtown Walkability from Nickel Ride.
Just introducing Mr. Longrear. In the spirit of the reunification of the historic district and revitalization of our downtown, walkability is one of the key components, and so we found that Nickel Ride will provide us with a very good and needed service for our city.
Thank you. What is it? Okay. Oh, you may come over there? I'm not very good at sign language.
Easier to do the PowerPoint from here. If you just go to
Okay, fantastic. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judah. I'm with the Nickel Ride. Greatly appreciate you taking some time here this morning. I'll keep this brief, but definitely want to start off with a thank you to Jaha, who's been very proactive with helping us with strategic partnerships coming to the area, as well as the zoning team. They were great with working with the Chamber of Commerce and various other businesses that kind of bought in and really been a big part of what we're doing here. So just a little bit about the company, kind of three things I want to cover: how we operate and who we are, how we plan to interact with the downtown Punta Gorda and be part of the growth that's happening here, and then thirdly, of course, want to leave time to ask for you to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so a little bit about who we are. So we're an innovative transportation solution. And probably to sum it up, we provide free rides. So we focus on high-density growth areas, usually covering a 3-mile radius. And passengers can request via phone call or the new mobile app that we have rolling out. And the way that we're able to provide those rides for free is by partnering with local commerce, local businesses that are looking for a unique marketing opportunity. We brand the sides of our vehicle to have those businesses custom messaging, but we also, and probably most importantly, the driver behind the wheel is able to speak to the area, what's going on, kind of serve as a local tour guide. So where we currently operate, so the business was launched in downtown Fort Myers. That was kind of ground zero. That was August of last year. At first, there was a lot of curiosity, trying to figure out what these funky-looking cars are driving around. But shortly after, people started to catch on to it and really understand the concept. We had to add to the fleet, so we had to get a third vehicle to keep up with the demand. We had some excited customers and really started kind of create some excitement around our program. So shortly after, Cape Coral came to us and they asked, what would it take for us to get that kind of system? So worked with their zoning, kind of learned their plan of the, revitalization of the South Cape area, and then got a fleet over there. And that launched December of last year. So one of the top requests that we got was residents who would come visit the Fort Myers area. They're saying, hey, when are you guys coming up to PG? And so after countless requests, we finally started looking into it, and that's where I met Jaha, and we've kind of had that. So we're excited to announce that June 1st, we will be launching in the downtown area. We will operate with 3 vehicles. We're working with businesses now to get all those pre-sold. Here's some photos that we actually was shot live in this area when we came up to help out with the barbecue and brews event that was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. So this right here is the proposed service area. As you can see, we're really going to be connecting the downtown area. We'll be able to go out to Fisherman's Village, get people to the downtown area, and vice versa. We don't have a exact transit that we follow. We really go where the rides are. So the proposed areas, the proposed hours of operation, and this can change, but this is what we're rolling out with. We want to operate 7 days a week. We start at 11 a.m. We run until 9 p.m. during the week, and then on the weekends, we want to provide safe rides into the evening, so we will run until midnight. Sunday's a little bit of our slower day, so we're operating between 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So this here just gives you an example of what some of the branding on the vehicles look like. We want to make sure they're aesthetically pleasing. This was a mural downtown that we got a photo in front of. So I know we covered kind of quite a bit there. Just love to hear if there's any questions or something that you would like some clarity on.
You say the app is new, so are you using it now, or?
Yeah, so the app we actually just took offline because we're completely redoing it, but we're within first week of June, it'll be completely live. And the nice thing about that, we're adding more features to it. So not only will they be able to utilize the mobile app from a dispatch system, but they'll also get notifications that the bar owners, the restaurant owners would have the ability to push. So, it's going to serve more as a hotspot to understand what's happening. You have an event going on, they can list that in there. So right now, the best way to get a ride is to do 855 We Are Free. Call that number. That's going to dispatch you similar to like a taxi service to the closest driver that's on the, but we'll of course announce when that app is coming. And you can actually, if you go to our website, you can sign up to be on the waiting list and you'll get updates about, when that comes out.
Can you see where the vehicles are on the app?
Yes, exactly. So it'll serve exactly, it'll mimic similar to like an Uber style app to where you can see who your driver is, their rating, and tell you as well when the vehicle will be there, so you can understand how far away you are.
When?
Just a couple quick questions. I think it's a really nice concept. From an insurance liability standpoint, is it your liability if anything were to happen, God forbid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly similar to any other kind of business that, operate, I carry a pretty hefty insurance policy. A big part of that, though, is vetting the drivers. So we go through a pretty extensive background check. You have to have a perfect driving record. And, there is, contracts that they have to sign, making it quite aware that there's, you taking ownership of it. But from a liability standpoint, yeah, we carry $1 million liability policy on each vehicle.
Okay, and where are you going to be storing the vehicles when they're not in use?
So we're working on finalizing that. We have a couple places that we're pretty close to finalizing. I'm working with Jaha to kind of get everything 100% there, but we should have that by, I'd say, end of the week.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Gary?
So you're going to be starting up during the slow season, so I assume that you're committed to come, to go through at least for the first year to see how this works out.
Yes, my checkbook is. I already made the investment, so we're here. And I think that was a big concern when we launched in downtown Fort Myers. There was, was there going to be enough traffic? during off-season. Well, what we realized was 7 days a week, becoming a fabric of the community, there's a lot of locals that still visit, and that's why we don't have 10 vehicles, right? That we have we think we have the right amount from the feasibility report to, have enough traction going, because we also want to make people come out more during the off-season.
Sure.
So, we see this more as certainly a long-term play, and it, very much 3, 4, 5 years, we still want to be here and growing with the city.
Okay. And these vehicles look relatively portable. If there was a big event that was going to be occurring in Punta Gorda on a given time, a big festival or a big act or something like that, would you be able to bring in more vehicles in for just that particular event?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do private events. Certainly, that's usually through a contract where we'd say, hey, this is what we can do, but absolutely. So we do transportation for the Art Fest in Fort Myers, and that we have to get, bring some of the vehicles in for that. So that's definitely an arm of our business that we're happy to assist with.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And how many vehicles will you start out with here?
We're going to have 3.
Okay.
Yep, and then constantly always have 1 on the road. Sometimes on the weekend there might be 2 on the road, but really, 1 should work well.
Okay.
I don't know if you can explain about the accessibility.
Yeah. Of the vehicles?
Yes.
Yes, definitely, accessible. We want to make sure anyone with walkers or wheelchairs are able to assess that. And our drivers are trained to very much, stop the vehicles, get out. I mean, that's the main thing that we focus on when bringing on brand ambassadors, is explaining the importance of this. So it's definitely compliant all the way around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question for, will we have the information in the weekly report that week so that we can publish that and really let the community know? Because it's
We've,
been a much-needed service.
We've had it before.
Yes.
We can do it again, I guess, if you want.
Well, I think this time, we talked about it, but now we have details. And I think when we announce it, it would be nice to provide the link
Yeah.
to the website and things like that so that residents can actually find out more specific information.
And if I can piggyback off that, that's a fantastic point. I really appreciate that. We actually have a couple things planned. It'll be a great way if you check out our Facebook and you can like that there. We have a ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce at Ghetto Automotive the 31st. And then we're doing a launch party, and we'll be giving away all sorts of fun stuff the 1st for the official launch, and that's going to be at the Wyvern Hotel. And we're going to have free hors d'oeuvres, and that'll just be a great way to kind of meet the team, because there's definitely quite a few people involved to kind of help. And also there's Natalia there, office manager. If you guys want to get in touch with us, we're excited to be part of the community, and thanks for the warm welcome.
Okay, next is the time, if your name is in the running for a board or committee and you would like to introduce yourself, now would be the time. Anybody have their name submitted for a board or committee? Okay, seeing nobody rising, we'll move into the public hearing agenda. We have 1 public hearing.
This is the first reading of an ordinance that I'll read by title only. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Punta Gorda, Florida, amending Punta Gorda Code, Chapter 26, Land Development Regulations, Article 3, Regulating Districts, Section 3.1B, Overlay Districts, adding a new EPCO Emerald Point Condominium Overlay District classification, creating a new Section 3.20, establishing regulations for the Emerald Point Condominium Overlay District, providing conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Good morning, Lisa Hannon, zoning official. In 2015 and 2016, due to some variance requests that have come through, City Council directed staff to work with Emerald Point to create an overlay district, which would delineate permitted setbacks and uses for each phase of the development. So the Emerald Point Condominium Overlay District is established to provide control to land subdivided within the city through the approval and recording of several plats of subdivisions entitled Emerald Point Condominium, phases 1 through 6. I apologize, there's a typo in the staff report, but the ordinance is correct with the phases. The attached draft ordinance and overlay map, Exhibit A, have been approved by the Emerald Point Condominium Association, and the Planning Commission and Urban Design Division recommend approval of ZA 0418.
Any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead, Gary.
I just want to congratulate staff and Emerald Point. This has been a long time coming, and I know it's had its stutters and starts, but I'm glad that we got it completed, and thank you very much, guys.
And hopefully this covers every possible scenario. Probably not, but hopefully it does.
If we have the 80-20 rule, we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, at least it's a really great first step. It's been needed.
This has been going on for many, many years, and I remember all my years on Planning Commission, how many hearings we had for variances that were asked for, and this is a good thing.
Okay, this is a public hearing. If you would like to speak on ZA 04-18, please take the podium to my right. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name, and then you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, council. My name is Tyler Hyatt. I'd like to thank the council for initiating this process a couple of years ago. And I'd also like to thank Lisa Hannon and her staff for the patience and understanding of walking Emerald Point through this process. None of us at Emerald Point had any understanding of the governmental process, and it was quite an education. I think this document is important to Emerald Point, to many of the unit owners there, so I would encourage that the board approve this as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh-oh, we have a buzzer problem. Anybody else like to speak on ZA 04-18? ZA 04-18. Anybody else like to speak? Last call, ZA 04-18.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Move approval of ZA-04-18.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to approve ZA 04-18. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we have no quasi judicial or second readings. Now we move on to consent agenda, which there are several items. Does anybody have anything they wish to pull before we ask for public comment? No? Okay, this would be the time to comment on the consent agenda. Citizens' comments on consent agenda items. Now would be the time. Please take this podium over here, state your name, you have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing nobody rising, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, next we move into the regular agenda, so now would be the time for citizens' comments on the rest of the items that are on the agenda, which would be the award to Wharton Smith for the guaranteed maximum price for the RO plant, the CIP, which is the capital improvement program, the general fund budget status update, the master plan draft request for proposal, the Harbor Walk Gilchrist areas 2A and 2B parking lot at Gill Street. Citizens' comments on all of those items is now. So if you'd like to speak on any of those, please come to this podium, state your name, you have 3 minutes, and I'm sorry if it buzzes. Just keep going, you have your 3 minutes.
I've been buzzed before. Good morning. For the record, my name is Connie Cantor. I live at 1318 Columbian Drive. I'm here this morning representing our scouting community in the area. I understand you're going to be taking on some business this morning that may affect that area. So I hope to remind you again of the commitment that council and staff made to scouting by your predecessors when they allowed the Lewis Calder Scout House to be constructed at the west end of Gilchrist Park. I encourage you to honor that commitment by ensuring that any development of this area include a fully operational and dedicated scouting facility.
Sorry, keep going.
Please participate with us in a collaborative spirit by engaging in conversation with us to explore what that might look like, and also some ideas on how to fund it. We've got some very good ideas there that might help you out. This is part of our history that we're eager to preserve, but we need your help with that, obviously. So I thank you for what you do for our city and for the time this morning.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sheila Yeager, and I live in the Historic District. I see on the agenda that for the Gilchrist parking lot, options. Only A and C are still under consideration. If I understand correctly, C is the option that only offers one additional parking space for an additional $20,000 and the loss of 4 mature trees. And I'm just here on behalf of the trees and not one additional parking spot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sherry Lenore. I live in Punta Gorda. My name is Sherry Lenore, and I'm representing a group called Smart Growth Punta Gorda, which is a citizens group whose mission is to assist the city and city council in retaining Punta Gorda's small hometown Florida feel while promoting smart growth and economic stability via citizens' participation in a comprehensive planning process. In 2005, the citizens of Punta Gorda presented the city with an invaluable document through a document called the Master Plan. Now, the city of Punta Gorda is reciprocating that gift by calling for a revision and update of the 2005 city plan. I commend our leaders for that action. And there are many good things in the first draft of the request for proposal of the review. It calls for a charrette process to maximize citizen involvement. An assurance that the charrette will take place during season so that all citizens, both those who live here full-time and are seasonal, can be heard. There's an educational component that's included to ensure that best practices are known by the citizens and are used. But the first draft also has some serious deficiencies. First, we believe that citizen involvement at every step is paramount, beginning with the RFP. Please allow the citizens to voice what they think should be included in the scope of work and selection criteria. This idea for revisiting the master plan was only introduced a few weeks ago, and now suddenly we have the first draft of the RFP. The city occasionally does work very efficiently, which is great. However, we believe this visit of the master plan will serve as the guiding force for Punta Gorda's future. So give us some time to digest, to research, and to organize our input. Let us be heard. Second, this draft of the RFP seems to be lacking one of the key components necessary for an intelligent selection of a firm, the criteria for selection. What will be the basis for judging and selecting the firm to conduct this important task? The National Institute for National Charrette Institute, sorry, I forget how it goes. The National Charrette Institute has some guidelines that they have put forth as to how firms should be selected. One of the things they suggested is a firm be selected that has no fewer than 8 of these charrettes successfully conducted with cities of the same size. We don't know how this firm is going to be selected, and we seriously hope that you will allow us to input some criteria, and once those criteria are set forth, that you will allow the citizens to help even in selecting the firm that is to be developed. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all you do for the city, and thank you for this great gift you're going to give us.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa Wager, PGI. Like Sherry, I also represent Smart Growth Punta Gorda. We are a citizens-based collective, and we would like to be included as a voice prior to the master plan RFP being submitted for bids. In consideration of that proposal, we suggest the following criteria be included. The acquisition strategy should require a presentation by the top candidates to be made to the council. We suggest a citizen presence during Smart Growth Punta Gorda, including Smart Growth Punta Gorda at the presentation with perhaps a Q&A follow-up. Bidders must possess familiarity with experience with similar projects in small Florida towns, including architectural design, land use auditing, and consensus building using design charrette. Identification of stakeholders, including creative methodology to reach underrepresented population, as well as inclusion of local citizens with related technical and professional skills in city planning. Expertise in facilitating consensus through social media and charrette procedures to achieve maximum buy-in by all stakeholders. We believe these items will help achieve our goals of smart growth and citizen participation while maintaining our historic small-town feel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Byrne. I'm from Punta Gorda, 2520 Rio Grande Drive. As past Commodore and Chair of the Punta Gorda Boat Club Building and Relocation Committee, I represent that club today. I would like to comment on the Gilchrist Park Waterfront Activity Center request for proposal. We're excited to see the process for developing more specific concepts moving forward, and we look forward to being involved as one of the key groups utilizing the site now. Like many engaged citizens, we have been working to understand what can be done to make the future use of Gilchrist Park most beneficial for the community. We've looked at many other waterfront and non-waterfront options to understand what is available and what we can learn. I would like to share some insight that we have developed about what is needed for the future to help frame the next phase that will be discussed today. When canvassing community members about what they'd like to do in a Gilchrist facility, the survey that was done was open-ended without consideration for end-user cost. But over the last 65 years that our club has existed, our members have spoken loud and clear. They love being on the water, but the cost of using the facility is an important consideration. That's why our annual dues, are just $100. We're unique in that regard. In addition, the 1,000 or so non-members who use our facilities are also very cost-conscious as well. The typical group that uses the Punta Gorda Boat Club pays less than $10 an hour to do so. It's a real bargain in the community. Why is it so little? It's because those people, like our members, want to use the Gilchrist facility, and they're very cost-conscious as well. Sure, we'd all like a huge, gleaming, modern facility on the waterfront, managed by the city to make it easy, but we don't think the end users can afford that. We strongly encourage that an important dimension of design must be a focus on affordability, both from an initial cost perspective and ongoing operating expense. We'd like to see a right-priced and right-sized facility that fulfills our citizens' needs, both for their specific use and also be within their budget. Although it may not be as alluring as a new facility, use of the existing buildings with modification should be considered as a more affordable option. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to clarify, the Gilchrist Park item was removed from this agenda, so it'll be heard at a later time. Correct? Okay. Anybody else? Citizens' comments on any of the regular agenda items? Anybody else? Okay, seeing nobody rising, we'll move into budget. The first is we got multiple buzzers now. Word of amendment to Wharton Smith for the guaranteed maximum price for the RO plant.
Procurement manager is here, as well as utilities director, as well as Wharton Smith. What you have in front of you is the guaranteed maximum price, fully negotiated, for the construction of the plant. We can go over detailed line items, which you have in front of you. By approval of this, we can get started. And coupled with all of the other items that we've already approved and started working on regarding this project, we're talking about a project of roughly around $40 million when everything is put together, not the actual plant construction, but the total. Swift Mud, Southwest Florida Water Management District, has already approved funding 50% of $32.2 million, which was a number of years ago. And we fully planned, once you approve this, to go back to the governing board with assistance from our lobbyist to ask Swift Mud to fund 50% of the remaining $8+ million. So that process will take effect as soon as you approve the guaranteed maximum price. We're still waiting for sign-off from the state revolving loan fund, which we've been using a low-interest loan to cover our portion, and we pay back the debt service over time. So we're ready to go, ready to get started on construction and get this thing done.
So my question for Howard was, with the SRF, there's no cap on the amount, correct?
SRF is already on board.
So we just reapply for the new amount, same with Swift Mud?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. Questions?
Just one.
Yep.
This does not include any change orders that might be initiated by the city, correct?
That is correct, and it also does not include any savings we can get while doing the process. Wharton Smith, Billy and Tyler are here, and they did all the heavy lifting on this with Marion. They have dozens and dozens of hours, and we hope to even reduce that further while we're doing it. But no, it does not include change orders.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There
Thank
is
you
a
guys for all your work. on this.
contingency, though.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, and I appreciate all the work that you've all done.
Yes.
And Marion Pace, Procurement Manager. We're going to be moving any tax savings from any of the equipment that we purchased through our owner direct purchasing into an owner's contingency, so that in the event we do have to have a change order, it'll be funded by that tax savings dollars.
Thank you.
Smart. Yes, Gary?
I just want to say that in my tenure up here and my experience in water treatment, which is why I got interested in this, this has been a well-engineered project. It's been a well-managed project. It is a project that demonstrates, as I've stated before, that we have an incredible staff that knows how to manage projects properly. This is going to be a great asset for the city of Punta Gorda for probably the next 100 years, actually, because it's going to give us plenty of water for growth. It's going to give us plenty of capacity. We're already addressing the discharge end of it, which is going to keep us in a position to be a valuable, functioning infrastructure community in the future. So I want to commend all of you guys. This is a great step, and I think we should just go forward.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Any other comments? And we need,
Need a motion?
yep.
We can't go forward without a motion.
Okay. I move that we go forward.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the award of amendment number 2. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know when we started on that project?
Yes.
Long before me, actually, yeah.
Long time ago.
It was before I got on council as well.
But 2005, maybe?
No.
No.
2009? 2009.
And now we have friends at Swift Mud, which is.
And we
which
have the
is
battle scars to,
a friendlier situation for us there.
and we have the battle scars to prove it, right, Rachel?
Yes, we do.
And we have the wizard.
Okay,
Get the wizard started on his magic.
we will.
Okay, next we have the 2019 to 2023 CIP, Capital Improvements Program, General Construction and Local Option Sales Tax Projects.
Thank you. Kristen Simeone, Interim Finance Director. So we are focusing basically on the general construction, 1% sales tax, and unfunded projects at this time. We're going to start with the general construction fund, and this fund is projects that come from grants, general funding, our transportation impacts, park impacts, contributions, assessments sometimes. So they provide a benefit citywide. This is the proposed pro forma for fiscal year 19 through 2023, based on the current projects. And I did want to point out that in the proposed 19, there is a beginning carryover of $115,000, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But all the other projects are coming either from general funds. There's assessments to be determined for one project, grants, and the park and transportation impacts. So this is the, again, general construction fund, and we broke it up into the sections, so it's very easy to see what's coming from the different sources of financing. We're going to go through each particular project very quickly, unless you want to talk about one in more particular. So we do have our National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. And the only thing I want to say about that one is it was combined with the total maximum daily loads this year. So it used to be 2 separate projects at 10,000 each, and now it's 20,000 per year. The storm sewer reconstruction is our standard program of 75,000 per year. And then bridge repair, $10,000 per year. All three of those projects, when the funds are unspent, carry over because there's usually another project coming up that they can use the funds on. Going into our drainage improvement program, this is the newer program. We're in fiscal year 18 is our second year where we transferred $500,000 over for drainage improvement. In the prior year's funding, you'll see 885, and that's where I want to talk about the 115,000 carryover. The current contractor could not finish the project, so we're back out to bid. So we're behind schedule on our drainage improvements program. So they will not probably be able to fully catch up, even though they will work to catch up the program. So the 115,000 that we're asking to move from that program will fund 3 other projects coming up down below. The fire apparatus replacement has increased. It was at $750,000 in prior years, but that number had been used for quite a few years. The cost has gone up to $800,000 in fiscal year 20. The Cooper Street Rec roof replacement was in our current budget for $60,000. When they went out to bid, the bids were a lot higher. So that's where the first $60,000 out of that $115,000 we would like to use to fund the additional amount needed to actually replace that roof. Lashley Park playground equipment needs to be replaced, and that's $25,000, and that was a new request this year. And the engineering room for renovation, $30,000, and that would be, those 3 items were the $115,000. Bethel Bethel St. Mark initiatives, we have the $50,000 per year in the program. The assessment section is the additional access to Charlotte Harbor, and with that project, we are currently still in the design phase. We do not have a full construction cost yet, but if that project does go forward, we would expect an assessment for the benefited properties. The grant funding section, these are current grants that we know have been approved through either FDOT or other funding sources. We have the Alligator Creek US 41 northbound pedestrian bridge 1, US 41 at Carmelita Street extension, and the amounts currently shown are just for the design and pre-design and design. The construction is in a further out year. US 41 Complete Street Airport to Carmelita, and the Harbor Walk West Area 3 construction. You'll notice the asterisks in fiscal year 19, they are not funding the design, so the city is paying for the design out of the 1% sales tax, and that will be on the next sheet. For park impacts, we currently have $80,000 programmed per year, and the current budget is currently funding the Nature Park Phase 2 project. Urban Design will be looking at that to see if we can use some of those funds for other projects that are currently in our 1% sales tax program. For transportation impacts, again, is our sidewalk improvements program. And again, Public Works is going to look into that and see if we could use some of those funds towards another 1% sales tax project. And the last one, the contribution for the Madrid sidewalks, we are hoping to complete that this year, but that was from the developer in the Publix area. And then the library enhancements, again, that one should be completed this year.
Marion, can you come on up and give council and the public an update on where we are with evaluating the rebids for the drainage contractor, because it is starting to rain.
Marion Pace, Procurement Manager. On the drainage regrading and restoration, we have the evaluation with the department. We received 2 very favorable references for the low bidder, who is JRL Underground out of Fort Myers, Florida. And we had planned to bring that to council at the next agenda. We just opened it, I believe it was last Thursday. And then the Gilchrist Park restrooms for the playground, we opened them last week, and we needed to obtain some references and for the low bid contractor, which is Avant Construction. And that evaluation is also with the department at this time, and we were planning on bringing it at the first council meeting in June for award.
So June 6th, we should be able to get both of those projects going.
How many responses did we have on the drainage?
We received 3. We were very pleased. The defaulted contractor on our past contract, he also did bid, but we left his prices in just for our evaluation purposes only in comparison. So we had 2 that were responsive that and qualified that we could review.
Great.
I do have a question. With regard to this, you're talking about using money from the drainage improvement program toward other projects. Why are we not using that for drainage improvement, since it's already been allocated?
Well, because we're already behind and we might not fully catch up, and we have these other 3 projects, we would have to take it from the general fund otherwise. So these funds already came from the general fund, so the funding source is still the same.
If council does not want to do that, we don't have to do that. But our recommendation is that we're still going to have a contractor come in. They're still going to have $500,000 for work to be done. If you want to take the 115 and add it to drainage, keep it in drainage, that's fine. And we'll just take the other 115,000 and recommend taking that out of general fund reserves.
Didn't we use reserve money for the drainage improvement program in the first place?
Yes, part of it was reserved, but part of it was from ad valorem.
Yeah, this year was ad valorem.
Or, yes, but out of the
First
first
year was
500,000.
So, it's your call.
Yes.
I just remember how long it took the original contractor to get up to speed. It was a very slow process in the beginning. So when you mentioned to me it's going to take a while for them to actually get going, I just figured it made sense.
And as far as the program goes, I think they've planned it out so that, maybe Rick could speak to that, so that that's the amount of work done in a fiscal year, just like our paving. So unless we want to accelerate, and I don't know, if that's even possible. You want to just speak to that quickly?
Yeah, the 115,000 is left over from year 1.
Yes.
They still have 500,000 in year 2. So there is plenty of work. It's, we have a new contractor coming on board, but go ahead.
For the record, Rick Keeney, all the things Howard just said. Plus, we got some very good prices from our contractor, so he has come in under budget. So we're going to get a lot more work for less money this coming year.
Yes, Gary?
I think that people should be responsible for their own lot. I've been saying that for years. We are running a deficit. We have this in budget. I know I'm not going to move anybody, but I just think that people should be responsible for their own lot. And they should be paying for the repair that needs to be on their lot if they're unable to do it themselves. That's all I want to say.
Duly noted. I mean, I think if, finance is going to make this work, obviously, we need to get the Cooper Street. So, I think we need to get those projects completed. Nancy?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Gary at all. We've had these discussions before about thatch, and it doesn't go anywhere, and the residents are looking to us to solve the problem.
Yes, they are.
We've-
And we
we've-
heard it
we've
at the
created-
budget meetings that we've had in the past. We heard about it and we've set the program up. We at least need to see it through for a couple of years and then maybe taper it down possibly, but.
I just had to say my piece. I'm not I'm not putting a monkey wrench into the works. That's not what
The only
I'm
problem
saying
with
I'm
that
gonna
is
do.
that we would have to demand and require that the properties causing the problem fix their problem.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, I have friends that their front yard is completely underwater. I tried to get in their driveway the other night and I couldn't do it. But it's
That's
not because
because-
of their property. It's a property 4
That's
houses up the
because of
street.
their neighbor
Absolutely.
hasn't maintained the proper quality of their lot. We enforce other codes on people all the time, whether it's a fence or whatever. I don't see that this personally is any different than that. This isn't like what we're talking about in the Boca Grande, where you really have a serious infrastructure issue, and it was the right thing to do for that neighborhood. That's a different standpoint. But when we first started talking about this, I went ahead and, after listening to Mark, and I thatched I've got the wrong kind of grass, and I thatched my swale, which I happen to be, and the storm sewer is on my property, right on the border of my property, and my block doesn't flood. And it was built in 1960, the block. I'm just saying that as responsible neighbors, if our property is affecting our neighbor, we should be responsible for our own personal lot. Really, what you're doing is making me responsible for your responsible neighbors who have irresponsible neighbors. That's just the way I feel about it. Have I been clear?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move on.
Are we okay with using the 115 and carrying on with 500 next year in the drainage to get these?
500.
This, yeah, 500, yes. So using the 115 from this year to get these other projects completed.
That's fine. After it's been explained fully, I have no problem with it. As long as we continue to do the drainage program, I'm fine with it.
Can we buy new equipment with the park impact fees or not? Since it's an existing, does it have to be a whole new, we
It'd
cannot
have to
buy
be new service, like, so not
Has to be a
replacements.
new park, a new phase, a new something.
Something to add growth, like showing the growth.
Okay, yeah, it can't just be replacement of new equipment.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to prolong the debate. Council made a policy call on the drainage, but since we started the program and people saw their swales, not their personal ones, but at least saw the swale improvements being done in the neighborhoods, the complaints have come down, and at least we have a plan. So, again, we're moving on.
And that's just the point. We have started the program, so we can't very well stop now, unfortunately, for Gary's point.
I just saying my piece. I mean, you know, we're going to be dealing with, later on discussion with the fact that we have an inadequate reserve. But I understand we've gone down this path and we have to continue. So I'm not going to put a monkey wrench in it. I just wanted to say my piece. I've been consistent on this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so going on to the 1% sales tax, this fund is mostly just the 1% local option sales tax. However, once in a while, there may be a grant that's funding a portion of it or a transfer from another division. But in our current program, it's all just 1% at this time. Again, here's our pro forma, proposed 19 through 2023. Beginning reserves or on projects that haven't happened yet are $754,000. And we'll go through the various projects. Council chamber equipment is currently in this year's funding. It was carryover money, and those projects are still happening as we continue to upgrade the city hall and the chambers. Lashley Park parking, this project will be coming to you later, but it's to be appropriated, so it hasn't been appropriated yet, but the plans have been in process. The engineer's estimate was $205,000, but we're hearing it's gonna cost more than that. We are looking, again, this is one of the projects I was mentioning that we're gonna look to transportation or park impacts to help fund. It wouldn't be able to fund the whole project, but whatever we could move, we will try and do that. Yes.
The bids came in on that, and we're evaluating that, and we will bring this, hopefully, will we have the award ready for the June 6th CRA meeting?
Again, Marion Pace, Procurement Manager. Currently, the Public Works engineer is verifying the low bid with the engineer to see why, because the SED's Southwest Engineering Design, their estimate was $146,000. Our engineers was $205,000. So they're communicating with SED to see, you know, if these prices are still on board or, you know, what may be the factor. But the goal is to have it on the agenda for June 6th.
Because we have a time frame to get that. Okay.
The next one is Harbor Harbor Walk West Area 1 enhancements, again, we just finished the Harbor Walk West Area 1, and the additional enhancements or the mature trees and some additional items, again, it'll come back to you for a full appropriation, but we have $50,000 budgeted for that project. Ponce de Leon Park redesign and construction, the current estimate is $755,000. We have already have $305,000 in the 1% sales tax set aside for this project, so $450,000 remains unfunded. Drainage improvements, Boca Grande area. This again has been an ongoing project. Current total project cost is approximately $4 million. We have the $1 million that had set aside with the 1% sales tax. Again, they've been trying to find grants for $2 million, and then we would still have to fund another $1 million if that project continues to go forward. Gilchrist Park Waterfront Activity Center, again, this will be to be appropriated in this year. If we move forward, originally this was in an out year, and it had been asked to be moved up to start with the design, and that's how much was budgeted for that particular project. Harbor Walk West restrooms, sorry, tongue twister. We currently had in the budget for construction $550,000. There was some carryover money for design. With the first restroom being bid and seeing the prices come in a lot higher, we increased this cost for the second restrooms. So we added it to the budget. Harbor Walk West amend design construction for area 2A and 2B. Again, you had that in another council meeting, and it'll be coming back to you. Currently, we only had 1.5 in the fiscal year 18 for this project, and we're adding 1.1 if you would like to keep going forward with the project. So 2.6 is the current estimate on that. Sidewalk improvements, phase 1. Again, those are for connections of sidewalks. ADA curb improvements used to be known as intersection treatments. What's currently in the budget is the $100,000 for fiscal year 19. They're asking for $80,000 per year for the rest of the years, so that part remains unfunded at $320,000. ADA improvements. Again, we have our ADA transition plan now. They are moving forward with the fiscal year 18 projects. Fiscal year 19, we have $485